Oh, I got your nose. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. What? Oh, no. No, I don't have. No, you can't have it back. Absolutely not. Not at all. No. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I can't hear you. Huh? Huh? All of these things are prime examples of rage bait. I should stop before I actually have someone to click off and be like, wow, this is annoying as everything. Hi, hello, this is Token, and welcome back to the Devil's Advocates podcast. For this video, I'm gonna go into what rage bait is, if rage bait is truly bad, the effects of rage bait, and exactly how rage bait equates to reality television. What is rage bait? Did you know that the word of the year from the Oxford Dictionary was rage bait? I'm not even kidding. Look it up. I'm gonna link it. The word of the year for 2025 was rage bait. Rage bait is defined as online content deliberately designed to elicit anger or outrage in order to increase traffic or engagement with a particular web page or social media content. I've never been one to be prone to being rage baited because I think it's very useless. I think anger's generally pretty useless unless like you've legitimately like experienced really terrible things and like you're just like, oh my gosh, you know, I've like seen the second, I don't know, not the second coming of Christ. I just saw 4 people die from a very preventable cause, not by me preventing it, but by some injustice or something. Like, I can understand, like, that type of anger, and I think that's valid anger, and I think that's useful, because then that, like, helps promote societal change. Rage bait is, like, the more annoying cousin of clickbait, because with rage bait, it's like, if y'all ever saw epic rap battles, that one song where it's Dr. Seuss versus William Shakespeare, and then there's thing 1 and thing 2, and thing 1 is just ripping Shakespeare a new one. I would say rage bait is like the thing 1 from epic rap battles from Dr. Seuss, because it's just ripping you a new one, trying to get a reaction out of you, and then thing 2's just sitting there looking pretty. On the rare occasion, it will shout something really odd. It has evolved since past just, you know, I got your nose. Ooh, I'm not touching you. Not only has it been something that you use in your childhood, just generally to have fun with your friends or anything of the like, it's also now making money. There are TikTokers and there are Instagram people and there are people, even probably on YouTube, who just make videos to elicit anger or some form of a negative response in order to get more clicks and to make money. And the unfortunate thing is, since it is social media, as long as you have people viewing, you got people paying you. People who are making these rage bait content-esque videos on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. One of them reported to make around $150,000 a year just making this content. And the last thing of like an example of rage bait that I can think of off the top of my head that I think is a little bit silly. Imagine if one of your... I know I look mildly like a ghost because I'm like essentially in black and white. Imagine if poltergeists were just rage baiters from beyond the grave. Oh, what's the reason you seem to have never passed on, John? I never elicited enough anger from people while I was alive. I must spend the rest of my life haunting Martha and making her scared to go wash her dishes because she's gonna think, oh, it was the cat that pushed off the cup. And then she realized the cat was in the backyard the whole time. It was me. And I love seeing her reaction. Instead of getting scared of a poltergeist, you just get angry all the time. Just like, God dang it, John's at it again. He's broken 5 of my glass cups this week in his poltergeist activities. I swear to God. Plot twist. poltergeist spirits are all cats. Alright, so now that we've gone into what rage bait is, we're gonna go into, is rage bait really bad? Is it really as bad as you say, Token? I'm not trying to say that rage bait is necessarily a good thing or necessarily a really bad thing. I am bringing up both the negatives and the positives, although I know I've been very silly throughout it. I'm just highlighting both the negatives and positives of it, connecting it to reality television. I think it can vary, depending on the rage bait. Let's say someone was rage baiting someone who didn't understand. I think if you're doing it to somebody who's autistic and they don't understand what's going on, I don't see the purpose in that. Getting joy out of rage baiting someone who doesn't understand what you're doing is like shooting somebody in the foot who can't even feel in their foot. You're getting nothing out of it. It's not like they're even able to feel it to react. The purpose of rage bait is to get a reaction. The only reaction you're getting is confusion. What's the point in that? There's no benefit of that. According to the Australian Psychological Society, in the short term, rage bait can make us feel bad enough, but if you're continuously watching, reading, or engaging with the content, those feelings can last for a while. Clinical psychologist and president of the Australian Psychological Society, Sarah Quinn, told the ABC that in addition to feelings of anger, disgust, frustration, and a sense of hopelessness, this content can lead to burnout. We know social media has a profound effect on our mental health. According to the data from the WHO Regional Office for Europe, more than 1 in 10 adolescents show signs of problematic social media behavior, struggling to control their use of experiencing negative consequence. Now, when it comes to the consumption of rage bait, I don't think it's necessarily bad to engage in mild levels of it, like I've said before, but extreme levels of it, I don't think that's healthy. Or if you are actively being this is terrible, being a little keyboard warrior behind the screen, I don't think that's really beneficial for anyone overall. I think it's more or less if it's something that you can tell is really negatively impacting you, then you should probably not do. I think it's kind of like how some people know they can't drink seriously because they're gonna be an alcoholic. I think it's fine if you're mildly, as long as no one's getting hurt and everyone's fine, everyone understands, then I don't see as much of a problem with it. That's just me personally. But if people are getting hurt or things are getting serious, then there's a problem. But an example of it that I think is fine is watching an absurd TikToker. Unless it genuinely makes you seethe with anger whenever you see that individual, I don't think it's a problem. If you're watching and you're just wow, this is if you have enough self-awareness to be oh, this would definitely upset a lot of people who would watch this, but I'm just watching this because it's a dumpster fire and I can't look away and I want to know what happens, I can understand that. I think it depends on how bad the dumpster fire is. If it's literally traumatizing levels of dumpster fire, I don't know if it's great to continue consuming for your own well-being. Because there's definitely a mental side of it. I don't think it's great to go into every single. That's like watching a true crime video and wanting to hear every single terrible detail that happened to the person. I think that's a major red flag. If somebody's watching true crime and they're just yeah, I watch true crime because I want to know exactly how the victim was hurt in every single different way and how long and all of the stuff that was required. I think that's a major red flag. Somebody says that at a date, get out! That's That's a no for me. Alright, so how does this really connect to reality television? What do you mean Ragebait is reality TV? Well, I'm gonna bring back the concept of, oh, it's like a train crash or a car crash and you just can't look away. I've often heard of people, whenever it comes to reality television, you're just like, oh, it's just so terrible that I can't look away. And I think the problem when it comes to both reality TV and Ragebait is whenever you get too overly emotionally involved. You can look at the car crash, but you don't need to know all of the single details of the car crash, because then you might want to stare at a wall and have a 5,000 yard stare. I'm going to use a study regarding reality TV to bring up a possible benefit of Ragebait, reality TV, that whole like it's a car crash, I can't look away, that type of thing. According to the National Library of Public Medicine, our results indicated that influence of reality television on adolescent behavior is complex and potentially related to the adolescent's intended uses and gratifications for using reality television. Reality television viewing was positively related to increased self-esteem and expectations of respect in dating relationships. However, watching reality television also was related to an increased focus on appearance and willingness to compromise other values for fame. Reality television viewing did not predict relational aggression. To two general concepts, and Ragebait is a pretty decently new topic that's not something that's been heavily studied, at least in regards to reality television. I was actually very surprised. There was only like one video that I saw that was even mildly bringing up both of these in the same context. It also brings like an increased focus on superficiality and compromising one's values, which I also think can be related to rage baiting, because depending on the thing that you are rage baiting someone about, it could be heavily superficial, and it could be, let's just say, unethical. That's not to say all of rage baiting is unethical. Some of it could just be you're a genuine troll. But I'm going to go into another positive of reality television from another study that I have. Their research uniquely pointed to the pro-social benefits underlying lifestyle transforming reality television. In particular, reality TV programs that present narratives of personal lifestyle transformations, elevating, moving transformations which embody exemplary moral lessons were deemed as more elevating, moving, and thought-provoking when compared to reality programs predicated fundamentally on themes of game, competition, and strategy. In turn, such responses generated stronger altruistic motives among viewers, whereas empirical investigators of the appeal of reality TV have focused predominantly on its entertainment and hedonic appeal. This study alternatively supports educational value of reality-based programs that center on themes of human virtue. But there are many perspectives in which rage bait and reality television can exist, and the positive view of it is, let's say you're rage baiting someone to their benefit. And I know that's probably something really hard to say, or not say, but to imagine, because you're like, what do you mean rage bait somebody to their benefit, or whatever. But I would say it's like the equivalent of pulling a good prank on someone. Like, let's say a scene from Friends. There's a scene where one of the girls, I can't remember any of their names, one of the girls was trying to see if they were pregnant, and then they took a pregnancy test, and then their friend lied to them, and they were like, oh, you're not pregnant, or whatever, because that friend had been talking to her and was like, well, I don't know how I'll handle if I am pregnant. I don't know if I'm excited about it because I genuinely want it, or if I don't, or whatever. And so, without telling her friend, she just decided, I'm gonna tell her either way, not tell her either way. I'm gonna lie to her and then see what her initial reaction is. and be like, oh, well, this is how it actually is, and then she understands that it was because she actually wanted the baby instead. And do I think that's necessarily always moral? I don't know if that's moral, because that's your friend withholding information from you that's very pertinent and is life-changing. But I do think I could think of a different... given that scenario, I don't think that's the worst-case scenario. I mean, I think the girl was very happy at it. I can't remember. Or, like, let's say the part of the prize money is donated. Like, that would be a good example of a reality television show that can help instill moral values. Alright, I get it. We've discussed all that. Get to the point. How is it reality TV? You've talked about already, you know, what Ragebait is, the effects of Ragebait, a little bit of like studies engaging both Ragebait and reality television, and how, you know, that desire to elicit a reaction out of somebody and just make money off of it, essentially, because both reality TV and Ragebait are people making money. And so we're going to get to the part of the video where I talk about various reality television shows and 4 ways in which they are actually Ragebait overall. And this is not me saying I have watched every single one of these, and I know you're like, why are you making a video if you've never watched it? Listen, alright, if React YouTubers exist, I can make a hypothetical if I knew what it was React videos. Alright, we're devolving even more, alright? So we're going to start off by one that I have not seen, but I have watched analysis videos on it, and it's a general vibe of it. So, 90 Day Fiancé. That's the one we're going to talk about. This can go for like any type of reality TV show that focuses on like relationships and like love or whatever, but in a twist, you know, like there's 90 days. 4 ways in which it is Ragebait. Again, I haven't seen it, but I've heard a couple of things about it, and this is what I'm going to work off of for it. So, I've heard a couple of things about, like, the Big Ed guy. Are they true? I'm not saying they're true. I'm not saying they're not. This is all speculation and just stuff that I've briefly heard and or seen from analysis videos. And generally, overall, Big Ed is going to be one of the reasons that I'm putting him as Ragebait, because he's extremely, at least from what I've heard, disrespectful to, like, the individual that he was seeing. And became, like, a meme zeitgeist outside of the reality TV show. Which I think you gotta be really out there to be on a reality TV show and then be remembered for your personality. Then, another factor of, like, why I'm giving it the score that I'm going to, it's going to be out of 4, is that it has an impractical premise. This is a similar one that I'm going to use among, like, several of them. What do you mean, like, being married to somebody within 90 days? That's the literal definition of love bombing. There's also no long-term... Well, okay, sometimes there are. Sometimes people, like, stick with the people from the show or whatever. But I'm gonna generally say the rates are that high. I'm not quoting for that. That could be totally unfounded, and you can prove me wrong on that one. If people are getting married in mass from 90 Day Fiancé, I will gladly relinquish any research crown that I have in regards to it, because I really don't feel like looking up those statistics today. And it just sounds like, you know, the How to Lose a Guy in 10 Dates, or whatever, I don't remember the name of it, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just so cartoonish. I mean, it's not How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is not a cartoon, but essentially the premise is just so unrealistic. It got 4 out of 5 stars when it came to the amount of Ragebait due to the impracticality and just pure disrespect from that show. Now we're on to like Love Island or just generally like normal romance reality TV shows. Depending on the type of show that you're watching, it can be disrespectful. It also could not be. I know any other type of reality TV show that's based on romance, I would say is more practical of a premise than 90 Day Fiancé, because you're not expected to like be married or anything by that. It's just more or less usually like, oh, who do you want to be with? And I will say the rage bait that comes from those shows is generally, it's not always just, I would say it's more just excessive drama. The one like reality TV show that I did watch that was focused on romance, I was so tired of hearing these people argue over the most useless stuff. For that one, or any like general romantic one, I would say it's a 3 out of 5 stars. Not really rage baity, but mild. And now we're gonna get on to the one that I was talking about before, The Circle. The Circle is basically a reality TV show about like popularity and whatnot, and of course there's gonna be drama in that one. That's the whole point. So that's the only one I can think of like bro drama for. But I will say from watch, because this is one of them that I actually have watched. Out of all of the reality TV shows here, I've watched this one and I've watched the next one. I've watched some of a romance one, but I never not a lot. But I've watched actually multiple seasons of The Circle, so I know what I'm talking about here. When it comes to rage bait in regards to this show, it's not as rampant when it comes to drama. Like, there is drama in it, but it's... I guess I view it as less rage bait because that is the literal purpose of how to win the game. And it is to elicit a response. So it is by definition rage bait, but when I'm giving it this rating, I mean, like, it's not that I find it unenjoyable. Because if the rage bait for me is like higher out of 5, that means I find it less enjoyable. But if it's lower, it's like, oh, okay. But by technicality, it is technically rage bait because it is a bunch of that. I want to make that clear. But it is practical because it's like, oh, we're trying to win to be able to win this amount of money. And at least with The Circle, out of all of the reality TV shows, there's like long-term effects of if you win by essentially rage baiting people by voting them out, then you're gonna have money. The one thing that does upset me about that show is the love affairs, because some of them can be just so useless unless it affects the general plot of being able to complete what you're supposed to do. Then what's the point? What's the point? If you're trying to fall in love because it's a romance show, that's fine, because you're completing the point. But if the point of the show is to be the most popular to make money, why are you pretending to fall in love? But anyways, so I would give The Circle a like 2 out of 5 on the rage bait scale. And then we're going to get to the last reality TV show that I have on the list of any reality TV show that requires like cooking. But generally, cooking shows are very free of drama or rage bait, unless Gordon's there. Truly, you are safe from rage bait of reality television unless you are unfortunately in Gordon's presence. But it's practical, you go in on it, and you're trying to win because you want to get the prize money, and you're using a skill to be able to do it. The rage bait comes in whenever there's like tiffs between the servers and whatnot, and you're like, oh well, I can't believe that Hayden would build this thing, or that they talked about X thing, or whatever. But generally, the drama when it comes to a cooking show, very boring, very, very minimal, nothing eventful or of note. The only time I can think of cooking drama from a cooking TV show that truly impacted me was that one show where this girl was cooking and she needed butter, and she was just like, and the TV guy was like, well, where are you gonna get that from? I don't see any butter on your thing. And she was just like, because you could tell she was she was fumbling really bad. She was like, I don't really, I'll figure it out or whatever. Like, I'll ask. And then he was like, you'll ask or whatever. And then she was like, yeah, I'll ask. And then she goes around and asks everyone. And then like this one girl decides like, I'm not gonna give her my butter. She's gonna fail without my butter. And then the other guy was like, yeah, well, I can sleep at night and know that I was like a somewhat decent person and I won on my own merits if I won. And he gave her the butter. I can't remember if she won or if he won, but that is truly the only drama out of any cooking television show that has stuck with me over the years. Because there was hey, and that fits the research of, reality television that highlights morality and having good values like that guy did. And I will say, the rage bait that actually does come from those, that come from the cooking television shows is also the soundtracks of just maracas or just several bald eagles, even though they're going extinct. The overall rating that I'm giving that type of reality TV show in regards to Ragebait is a 0.5 out of 5. Because while there are some moments in which I am genuinely upset, it's not necessarily at the fundamental idea of how the show is run or the concept of the show, but because I'm genuinely angry at that individual. I went into what Ragebait is, if Ragebait is truly bad, depending on what version of Ragebait you're discussing in relation to reality television, and relating reality television to Ragebait via those studies of, there can be positive social impacts of it, like increasing your self-esteem, which generally being, more socially aware, but also can lead to other issues that we've discussed. And then we went into the details, or how Ragebait is reality TV, and concrete examples of the TV series, like 90 Day Fiancé, Love Island, or generalized, romance TV shows, cooking shows, and The Circle. This is Token, this is Theta, and this has been the Devil's Advocates podcast. I hope you all have enjoyed. Please like, comment, follow, subscribe, do whatever you want, and we will see you later. Token to debate, and this purgatory face crawl in to create my number awaits.